Welcome back to the Henster Kitchen. I'm Georgia, I am the Happy Henster, and today we are going to make a Southern classic. When the weather starts getting cold, this is what I come to the kitchen to make. Chicken and dumplings. We will be making homemade dumplings. There's gonna be nothing coming out of a can. And I think you'll be surprised how quickly you start putting this in your family's rotation. We are gonna start building flavor from the very first step. So to this stock pot, I am going to add 1 large carrot that I've cut into nice 1/2-inch slices. I don't peel them, I just wash them good and in they go. I've got 1/2 to 3/4 of an onion, 2 stalks of celery, 1 bay leaf, 2 cloves of garlic that I've smashed. We're gonna do our 3-finger pinch, but because this is gonna be our stock that we're gonna cook our chicken in, we're gonna do 3 of our 3-finger pinches. We are gonna bring tons of flavor, not only to our stock that we're making, but also to the chicken as it's cooking. Let's add some good old cracked black pepper. I'm gonna add 2 chicken breasts, boneless, skinless. Once this comes to a boil, I'm gonna put the lid on and turn it back to a simmer and allow it to simmer for about 30 minutes. Back at our stovetop, our stock has been simmering away. I'm gonna add about 1/2 of a box of the Swanson chicken broth. I'm gonna take a taste because otherwise there's no way for me to know if my seasoning is proper in here. We definitely need some more salt. And I want a little more garlic. So for this, because I need the instant flavor, I'm gonna use just some garlic powder. Let's give this a stir and then we'll take another taste and see where we're at. Now our flavor is on point. I'm going to remove our chicken breast and put them right in a bowl that I'm gonna be using for serving. I'm gonna add 1/3 cup of milk and a good pat of butter. We're gonna turn our heat up to low, medium, or medium. What we're gonna be after is just a nice, gentle boil. While our chicken breasts are cooling, we're gonna get started on our dumplings. Now this is my Daddy Rabbit's recipe for dumplings. And as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty daggone perfect. So I'm starting with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm gonna add 2½ teaspoons of baking powder. We're gonna add in 1 teaspoon of salt, and of course, black pepper. Let's give this a whisk together. We're just making everything come together to be light and airy and well combined. To this, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter that I've just cut into smaller slivers. We're gonna give it just a nice little toss to make sure that that butter is coated in flour. And then take your pastry cutter. You can get these absolutely anywhere and they are worth their weight in gold. And we're gonna start cutting our butter into our flour until that butter is about a pea size. Now I'm gonna add my milk. And using a fork, we're just gonna gently stir that in. I have added 3/4 cup of milk. And now I'm just gonna work this in. I want it to be a biscuit dough consistency. And I'm scraping all the way down to the bottom of my bowl. I wanna make sure I don't have any flour loose down there that hasn't been moistened. That's looking beautiful. At this point, you can make your dumplings 2 ways. You can either turn this out on a floured board, roll it nice and thin, and cut them into flat dumplings. Or the way I prefer, just because I don't want to get my counter dirty and have to clean that up, I do them as drop biscuits. Let's get over to the stovetop and I'll show you how we do it. We're now at a nice, easy, gentle boil, which is what we're after for our dumplings. Our dumpling dough has been over on the side, hanging out, waiting on us. I always think it's important, when you can, to allow your dumpling or biscuit dough, for that matter, about 5 minutes or so to rest before you start forming it or cooking it. We've got about so much. I do ball it up just a little bit and gently go down into our broth. And we're going to repeat that all the way around, trying not to lay them on top of each other. We don't want to crowd our pot. You can make your dumplings as large or as small as you prefer. There is no right or wrong way here. I'm going to turn my heat up just a smidge. I want it to boil just a little bit more than that. We will cook these uncovered. Uncovered is the trick to dumplings. We're going to allow them to cook 3 to 4 minutes, and then I will flip them over and allow them to cook for about another 2. Our last batch of dumplings are coming out of our cooking broth here. Now I do want to say, when you take your very first dumpling out after your time, go ahead and cut it open to determine whether it is cooked through. It should look like a biscuit when you cut it open. So if it's still doughy, put it right back in your broth and let it cook for another minute or so, and then test another one. Now that our dumplings are out, I'm going to add back our chicken. I have gone on and shredded it, but not into small shreds. I like a chunk of chicken to go along with my dumplings. So I'm going to add back in my chicken to let it get coated in our broth, as well as to warm it back up. And then I'll also add in some peas. This is totally one of those things, if you like peas, add it, and if you don't, leave them right out. I've turned my temperature up to bring this to a nice rolling boil again, to cook my peas as well as to get everything nice and warm and to thicken up my broth. Once my gravy came to the thickness I was after, I've added my dumplings back in, just for one last hoorah. We're now going to pour this into our serving bowl, and we are ready for dinner. Did you ever think that chicken and dumplings could be this easy? 45 minutes, start to finish, and you have got an incredibly flavorful, deeply satisfying, and completely comforting meal to feed your family. Thanks so much for hanging with me. I will see you all soon.